mountains and the rivers.
Meanwhile the world goes on, goes on.
Meanwhile the world goes on, goes on. Meanwhile the sun and the thin pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile the wild geese, flying at everywhere, are heading home again.
Meanwhile the world goes on, goes on.
Meanwhile the world goes on, goes on. The world goes on, goes on. No matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild beast, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. Meanwhile the world goes on, goes on.
Meanwhile the world goes on, goes on.
Meanwhile the world goes on, goes on.
Good evening, and welcome to the Red Wing High School graduation for the class of 2020. This is a graduation like no other, and in keeping with that, you will see us presenting from both in front of the Eagle in the locker bay and in Hovde Hall. I invite you to sit back and enjoy this unique graduation ceremony. At this time, please rise and remove your hats for the singing of our national anthem, as performed by the Ovation Singers under the direction of Mr. Scott Perrell.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave?
With us this evening are the following special guests: School Board Chair, Ms. Pam Rowe, Board members, Mr. Jim Bryant, Mr. Mike Christensen, Mr. Arlen Dierks, Ms. Janie Fair, Ms. Heidi Jones, Ms. Holly Tower. Also present this evening is our Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Karsten Anderson, as well as Dr. Beth Borgen, Principal at Tower View. Our honored staff with us include Ms. Lisa Hansen, the Red Wing High School commencement speaker, and Mr. Ben Slagle, the Tower View commencement speaker. These two individuals were selected by the graduating class of 2020. In the audience this evening are the faculty and staff of the Red Wing Public Schools. I want to thank all of them for being with us this evening and for their tireless work this school year and throughout the E12 careers of our graduating seniors. I would also like to mention the names of the faculty and staff of the Red Wing Public Schools retiring this year and honor them for their years of dedication and service to the students of Red Wing. They include Dr. Beth Borgen, Ms. Sheila Dickey, Mr. Kevin Johnson, Ms. Debbie Johnson-Lundberg, Ms. Beth Mayer, Ms. Mary Pittman, Mr. Matt Quinn, Ms. Cheryl Redding, and Mr. Craig Uveling. The class of 2020 is composed of an excellent student body who have done outstanding work at Red Wing High School. We have 28 students graduating with the highest distinction, signifying a cumulative grade point average of 3.93 or above. A total of 59 students wear an honor cord for their outstanding scholarship, and you will notice them during the conferring of the diplomas. We also honor those students from our Prairie Island community and other Native American communities who have earned the distinction of receiving a feather of the American bald eagle. You will notice it attached to their caps, which have been ceremonially dressed with intricate beadwork to formally display the bestowed eagle feather for these commencement exercises. Congratulations. It is now my honor to introduce the first of our two senior speakers representing the class of 2020, Miss Anna Bowes, who will give a speech entitled Obla Di, Obla Da.
Hello, class of 2020. Congratulations. Despite all the odds, we made it. Writing this speech has been the hardest assignment of my high school career. Now I know what you're thinking, and yes, more difficult than Mr. Bender's class or Mr. Lisey's AP Physics. It's hard to write a speech about our senior year when a third of it was distant, or write about our future with so much uncertainty in a time like this. But luckily, I've managed to whip something up, so here it goes. I'd like to start off by thanking our teachers and staff. They have done a tremendous amount of work to keep us learning and on task these past 5 years, and especially in the last 3 months. They have been with us since the beginning, ever since we first walked through the doors of Red Wing High School in 8th grade. When I drove past to pick up my cap and gown, I was holding back tears. Never did I expect such a welcoming and encouraging surprise from our teachers. I probably could have, considering the love and support we've had from our teachers and community throughout our education. I'll miss the discussions we had in Heinemann's class and Mr. Chalmers' rants about the right way to cut pizza. Thank you everyone that helped make high school and distance learning a much better experience. We would not have made it without you all. A special shout out and thank you to Mr. Nemenich for his first year of being our principal. He and our admin team did a phenomenal job, and we were lucky to have them during this difficult time. Also, a quick little side thank you to everyone at Zoom and Google Meets for allowing us to graduate on time this year. Very helpful. It's hard to think that we didn't get the chance to have all the spring senior traditions, but we still made it through. Recently, I've been hearing quite a few people complaining that the last third of our senior year was taken away. But what about the other 2/3? I'll admit, my broken heart yearns to see you all here tonight for a final hurrah. But what has gotten me through these past 3 months have been all the memories I made in senior year so far. Now I know we may not all have been best friends, but I want you to picture your best friend. The person you can't wait to go hug when this is all over. Think of your guys' favorite song to dance to late at night, or a time when you almost peed your pants laughing at a stupid joke they made. Those are the good times. Those are the times that get us through the bad. We remember them and hope to make more memories like that in the future. I'd like to ask you all to, in hard times like these, focus on the good and always persevere. Unfortunately, on Friday the 13th back in March, wait, do you remember our last day was Friday the 13th? Crazy. Anyways, on Friday the 13th in March, I did have a feeling it would be our last day of high school. Schools around us were announcing that they were closing, and the world was starting to gain more knowledge about what was to come. Even though I had my suspicions, I didn't do anything different. I didn't say goodbye to my friends or try to take in every last moment of class. Sitting in concert band that morning, I had heard my last, "Do your faces hurt? 'Cause they're killing me," from Mars. Nothing was different, but then again, no one else did anything different either. Everything was normal. I wonder if we had all known that it would be our last day, if we would have done anything differently. Would we have jumped for joy or cried at the abrupt ending? Who knows? What we do know are all of the amazing memories we have had so far. Here's just a quick recap of some things that happened this year. We had our boys and girls swimming at state earlier this year. Cross country also did amazing and went to state. Not only them, but all sports did extremely well this year. Our homecoming plans had a bit of a change, but we worked together to stay positive and enjoy while our girls' soccer team was on the field. We put on an incredible high school musical, and we had the music department's first winter extravaganza. It was a major hit. One of the highlights of my senior year was cheering on the girls' basketball team at state. The student section was filled with smiling teens and everyone was having a good time. Plus, pep band rocks. It's not just about the wins or losses, it's about camaraderie as well, and we definitely saw that on the court this past year. Well done, ladies. We missed out on having our spring sports kick butt on the fields, but we all know they would have done incredible. The one year I just happened to join Ultimate, and right when I was becoming a professional, the season was canceled. Sorry, Mick. Many concerts and traditions were canceled in the band program this spring. Speech was cut short, a variety of clubs didn't get a happy ending they deserved. Nevertheless, we worked together to stay positive and keep going. One of my favorite songs by the Beatles is Obla-Dee, Obla-Da. It's a song that reminds us that whatever happens, life goes on. In tragic times, we can focus on the good. We have the chance to remember what has happened and to learn from this tragedy. Although there are many negatives in the world right now, there are also positives. In these tough times, we've become more unified than ever. People around the world are playing their instruments on their balconies, staying home to keep others safe, supporting local businesses during this difficult time, hosting fundraisers to help those in need, and many other things to support the world around them. We can't change the past, but we can do something about the future. When things get bad, you can think to yourself, Obla-Dee, Obla-Da, life goes on. Don't quit when something bad happens. Work to make things better for yourself and those around you. We may have started at Red Wing High School and ended at Zoom University, but we did it together. No matter where your future takes you, into the workforce, college, armed forces, I wish you all peace, love, and happiness. Congratulations, class of 2020. And remember, Obla-Dee, Obla-Da, life goes on. Yeah! La, 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 life goes on.
The Red Wing High School Concert Choir, under the direction of Mr. Scott Perro, will now perform "In Meeting We Are Blessed."
We are met together, and in meeting we are blessed. Peace in coming and in going, peace in labor and in rest.
We are met together.
I have the pleasure of introducing our two faculty speakers for today's virtual ceremony. Lisa Hansen graduated from Moorhead State University with majors in physical education and health and has taught in Red Wing for 23 years in those areas. She is also a gymnastics coach. Ben Slagle of Tower View Alternative Learning Center graduated from St. Cloud State University, St. Mary's University, and Bethel University. At St. Cloud State, he majored in physical education and adaptive physical education. He is currently the work-based learning coordinator and adaptive PE teacher in the school district.
To the Red Wing Board of Education members, Superintendent Anderson, Principal Nemenich, teachers, staff, friends, family, and 2020 graduates, welcome to our first and hopefully last virtual commencement ceremony. I am so honored and humbled to have been asked to speak for the 2020 senior graduates of Red Wing High School. If I'm being totally honest, I must admit that after getting my senior daughter Carolyn's permission, I agreed to speak, knowing that if I screwed up terribly, I could do this again. I'm far more comfortable talking about the dangers of drugs or human sexuality in my classroom as to public speaking. For all of you who have spoken before me in front of a real live audience or who will afterwards, I give you the Craig Uveling praise of being superstars. Class of 2020, you are a historic class. Most of you were born around the tragedy of 9/11, are now graduating amid COVID-19, two events that did and will change our world and how we function in it. Maybe this is why you grew up with parents who became known as lawnmower moms or maybe dads, who tried desperately to clear the path before you for a smooth journey. So when we cry randomly or rage at something trivial in these next few months that we truly have you, please give us grace, for we can't imagine our daily lives without you in it, even when it seems like we're sometimes ready for you to go. Life is what you make of it. When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Or a favorite I still use from my mom, boys are like buses. When one drops you off, another will be coming around the corner soon enough to pick you up. There are all sorts of narratives for when life doesn't go your way. But with COVID-19, this is the one that I like best. It happens to be about rocks. I believe my dad told me this one, which makes sense because he was very optimistic and he really liked rocks. There was a boy who was lost in a desert and couldn't find his way home. He was tired and hungry and frankly getting scared. He comes across an old man who asks him where he's headed and offers him his canteen. The boy tells him and takes the much-needed drink of water. The old man points him in the right direction and says, "As the sun sets, head toward the notch in the hill. Won't take more than about an hour. And I pick up some of them rocks you've been standing on." The boy says, "Rocks? Why would I pick up rocks?" The old man just shakes his head as he walks away and says, "Take some rocks, kid." The tired boy bends down and picks up a few rocks, some of the smaller ones, and puts them in his pocket and heads toward the notch in the hill. He arrives home, exhausted, strips down and climbs into bed. After a long, dreamless sleep, he wakes up and sees his pants on the floor. He picks them up and reaches into the pocket where he feels the rocks that the old man encouraged him to pick up. To his disbelief, there are 3 small diamonds in his hand where he expected to see rocks. In his amazement, he says, "I wish I would have picked up more rocks. I should have, but how was I supposed to know they were going to turn into diamonds?" These rocks are opportunities. Where have your opportunities been? This quarantine and this school year, what rocks have you picked up? Which have you just rolled around with your toe? And which have you avoided altogether? Good and bad, both are so important. During this quarantine, I have learned that I am not meant to be an online teacher. I have learned that I gain my energy from you, your dialogue in my class, your questions that are interesting and challenging, and of course, your smiles in the hallway. I need you to be the best teacher that I can be. Think of the poor students last week who had just me trying to come up with creative dates and to manage Hormone Hill all by myself. Not nearly as interesting or creative as they would have been with their input and silliness. On the other hand, I've learned more about Google Classroom than I ever thought I could, and I've learned that my girls are good cooks, and that I will never regret the extra time that I've been able to spend with each of them during these last 2 months. Carolyn may not agree, but the time we've been able to spend with her before she leaves us in the fall has been priceless. Through your days at Red Wing High School, what opportunities did you take? Was your rock a foods class, art, woods, business? Did that rock turn into something that you're now pursuing after graduation, your diamond? Maybe you found out that you don't have a head for business, you can't draw a stick person, or cut a board straight. Well, now you know. That rock may not have turned into a diamond, but it's still a gem, leading you someplace else. Maybe the sport you were playing didn't really pan out for you in high school, but you found theater, your diamond. That's what this is all about. Class of 2020, you have experienced disappointments, to say the least. Many individual, some together, but how did you handle them? Our football team had their homecoming game canceled on them. Major disappointment. The Diamonds showed up with girls soccer. Our football team walked out to the stadium as they would have for their own game, together and in uniform to cheer on the girls. Together, they were able to make history and the news by playing a homecoming girls soccer game that Friday night in front of a huge crowd of parents, friends, and family. Gage Senti, who was scheduled to play a football game that night, was able to cheer on his little sister playing soccer. Classy, memorable, a diamond. Class of 2020, you're a really nice group of young people. This is how my colleagues and friends describe you, and I have to agree. You are helpers. Mr. Rogers of my PBS childhood told children who are worried about big life events to look for the helpers. This is you. You've picked up rocks by helping out and stepping up in your homes, jobs, and community. How many of you taught your parents or grandparents how to Zoom? You've been forced to slow down, allowing you to reconnect with family through meals and binge watching things like The Tiger King. Honestly, how many of us have debated whether or not Carol killed her husband? You are learning to appreciate the little things and maybe even miss AP Calc, Chem, language arts, or government. School really wasn't so bad after all. And you are only getting started. You're only getting better from here. You are making serious headway towards adulthood, but you haven't peaked yet. None of you have. Top of your class, all-state speech, lead in the musical? Nope, not even close. 6-year letter winner, FFA president? Still not there. If school hasn't been your vibe, if you're graduating by the skin of your teeth, had trouble with parents, school, the law, none of this needs to define you. You haven't peaked. You are all on a new journey, one that is of your making and direction. Pick up the rocks. You can't let high school, no matter how great it was for some of you, be the highlight of your life or the defining factor if it wasn't so great. The world wants, even demands, more from you now. Pick up those rocks. Failure today is preparing for success tomorrow. Just ask anyone you know who you would define as successful. Fail fabulously, and then get up, dust yourself off, and start again from a new direction. When tallying up the disappointments of your senior year, stop and make a new list. What did you gain? Francis of Assisi said, "Start by doing what's necessary, then what's possible, and suddenly you're doing the impossible." We are currently living in impossible times, yet so many things have happened. 2 weeks ago, in less than 24 hours, I watched parents pull together and line the drive with signs for you to come into school for your cap and gown pickup. Your administration has worked countless hours to bring you a very classy virtual graduation and award ceremony. And businesses around the community, Red Wing alumni, have given you cake, pizza, photography, banners, a Yeti cup, because they care about you. Diamonds. You are loved, class of 2020. No matter where you go on your journey from here, some near, some far, you will experience joy, sorrow, heartache, and unbelievable love. Embrace it all. And remember, not what you didn't have your senior year, but what you had, what you gained. Keep looking for diamonds, even if they all turn out to be rocks. You'll find your one. Class of 2020, remember that you are loved. This school loves you, This teacher loves you. This community loves you. Remember that you can always come home. We'll be waiting for you with open arms and a post-COVID hug. Once a winger, always a winger. Congratulations.
Good evening, Red Wing School District board members, Superintendent Anderson, families, friends, district staff members, and 2020 graduates from Towerview and Red Wing High School. My name is Ben Slagle. I'm a teacher at Towerview Alternative High School and Burnside Elementary School. It's hard to think what might compare to how all of you graduates are feeling this very moment amid this new and strange COVID-19 world we now live in. I can imagine that it is sort of like being thrust into a rocket ship that's headed for the moon, and now beyond your control as you are strapped into your seat, awaiting countdown, then ignition, then liftoff. All of this, of course, is thrilling. Some of you may even have dreamed of being an astronaut. But it is also pretty scary for many, if not all of you right now, and I understand that fear. Especially because only 4 months ago, the pandemic was not on many of our radars. Then, 3 months ago, we started hearing how things across the world were starting to take a turn for the worst. Then, 2 months ago, we began to realize how significantly our lives may change and be changing before our very eyes. Your graduating year is 2020, which is a number given to someone with perfect vision. Ironically, the perfect vision you had for the near future is going to be a little blurry, and we're all going to be walking blind for a while. And that's where we are right now, as friends and family and relatives are watching and rooting for each of you as you graduate tonight, including my own daughter. Hi, Grace. My point is brief. Were those astronauts scared and fearful for their lives when they lifted off? Of course they were. But were they ready to launch, whether or not they believed it at the time of liftoff? Of course they were. If nothing else, they had no other choice. I can imagine their thrill and their fear together because I know they prepared themselves. Just as your public education and the life each of you have lived thus far has prepared you more than you may possibly know right now. I would even wager that the work you have done in the past 3 months alone has prepared you in a different and maybe even a more important way of learning life's lessons. Meaningful lessons that you can take with you going forward. Just think about it. You have experienced scores of sacrifices and moments of reflection during these final 3 months of your public education career, including not having a prom, not having traditional graduation ceremony, the distance you've had to keep from your classmates, not to mention the closeness you may have had to endure with your family while sheltering. I trust that you have thought about the kinds of suffering that you or loved ones around you may have experienced and may still experiencing. In other words, the past 3 months have been important months, if only because they have offered you a whole lot of time to reflect on both sacrifices you have made and also what you may now see, especially important in your own life. And I suspect that some of those things have included wanting to reach out and help those people near you, friends, neighbors, loved ones who may be suffering more than you during these anxious times. Perhaps you've seen someone struggle with something and you've asked if they needed help. Perhaps you've witnessed a friend going through a tough time and have been there for them. Perhaps an elderly neighbor has needed help moving something in their yard and you offered a hand. These are small examples of a very big and essential part of being alive. Helping others may be the best thing people are capable of doing in this life. I also suspect that most, if not all of you, have assumed a heightened responsibility for your actions. It's always easier to blame someone else for situations that don't go your way. But it's always good to take a minute to think, what can I do better? Is there a different way of doing this? Am I following what my boss or my teacher or parent or friend or coach is asking me to do? May you never underestimate the power of questioning yourself like this in both good and in hard times. For asking yourself such questions is a great way to find solutions to most, if not all, problems. Whether you have reflected on any of these important things, I really hope that you have thought about this, especially in hard times. There's little room for pessimism. You, of course, always need to learn and understand the harder facts of life and sometimes cruel or unfair reality of any time you live in. But you must remember that there is a bright side to almost any situation. The coronavirus has brought unthinkable change to many of our lives, but it has also enabled so many people to engage with friends and loved ones in optimistic ways that so many of us have never engaged in before. It is precisely in hard times when many important things are put in a perspective that compels us to think of new and more meaningful ways we ought to live together every day. In the next phase of your journey, you will be put into situations where you will need to think about how to constructively solve problems instead of giving up on problems. May you never give up preparing for storm clouds. At the same token, never ignore the silver linings those same clouds bring. Finally, I suspect, and I certainly hope, that there have been moments of gratitude that you have experienced. Gratitude especially for friends and relatives, or complete strangers who have served you a good turn. A parent, a sibling, a teacher, a friend, a family member, a coach. Anyone who has done something to help you out over your kindergarten, elementary, middle school, and high school career. If you have thanked them, thank them again. If you haven't thanked them yet, there's still time, for there's always time for gratitude and for giving thanks, and that is something I'd like to do right now. Thank you, class of 2020, for allowing me the chance to help send you off into blue skies. All you need to do now is reach for the moon.
Thank you, Ms. Hanson and Mr. Slagle, for those wonderful messages you've shared with us this evening. It is now my great pleasure to introduce the Red Wing High School Concert Band under the direction of Mr. Dan Mars, who will perform their featured work, Rise of the Firebird. It is now my honor to introduce our second student speaker, Mr. Marshall Laidlaw, who will give a speech entitled, A Happy Beginning.
Tomorrow is uncertain, who knows what it will bring. But one thing is for sure, love, with you I have everything, and happily ever after is the way these stories go. Used to think that's what I wanted, but now I finally know. Graduation is an eschatological event. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, what in the world is Marshall talking about? What in the world is an eschatological event? Let me explain. Eschatological events are experiences where our past, present, and future intertwine. At this moment, our present, as we sit in front of our computers, phones, or tablets, some of us dressed in our ceremonial cap and gown regalia, we remember these past 13 years we've shared in educational growth, learning, and friendship, while we look forward to the rest of our adult lives that hang almost tangibly in the air before us. Past, present, and future combined together. We live in quite an amazing, unusual, and unprecedented present, don't we? First off, we're graduating, everyone. We did it. Our entire young lives have led up to this moment, this present, and there should be joy and smiles spilling out of all of us faster than we can contain. However, tragedy devours our present. Coronavirus marks our every movement, our every breath, especially those hindered by a mask. For us, the class of 2020, coronavirus has written in red pen across the history book of our senior year, correcting words such as classroom to quarantine, sports and prom to canceled and postponed, and friends to distance. Peering at our present may bring gloom, yet here we stand today as the class of 2020 graduating. Let's examine our past and our potential future and see how we shouldn't gaze at today as it ends to 13 years on an unfortunate note, but as a happy beginning, full of hope. There's no storm we can't outrun. We will always find the sun. Leave the past and all its scars. A happy beginning now is ours. Our past began, born into a world and nation recently rocked by the reckoning of terrorism. On September 11th, 2001, the fall when some of us were first born, the Twin Towers collapsed. Back then, sadness and confusion consumed the world in a similar way, I must imagine, as many experience today. Jump forward 6 years later to September 4th, 2007, the day many of us started kindergarten. My mother tells me I kicked and screamed because I didn't want to leave the house that morning. I wonder if you have a first day of school story too. Since then, we've undergone 12 more first days of school. Memories dot our brain of school's wondrous moments, full of friends, teachers, activities, and achievements. And also the not-so-good moments we long to forget. The exams, the tears, the breakups, the failures. We all had classes we enjoyed, and those we detested, subjects where we jumped like winners, and those where we sank like losers. Throughout our schooling, and in high school especially, pressures of perfection rule our lives. The expectation to be good at everything lingers above our souls. Labels and names are thrown at us when we walk through the halls. The insistence that we must score good grades in our classes, that we must be talented at math and lavish in language arts. We must be able to sit down and listen to 80-minute lectures, write neat notes, and process that information fast. The problem is, not everyone's great at everything. Not everybody favors all the subjects, and there's a difference between those two concepts. In the fall semester of my junior year, I took AP Chemistry with Mr. Chalmers. This course proved immensely challenging on all levels, from lectures to lab assignments. I passed the class with an A, but that doesn't mean I had fun in that class. I would stay up all night, stress boiling my blood, bludgeoning my brain over concepts like polarity and acidic reactions. Chemistry wasn't my passion. Each of us have different gifts, and for some that's academics, and for some it's not. Throughout our school years, we personally discover what we're truly passionate about, what makes our hearts burn with never-ending excitement. We also recognize those activities which spark little or no excitement. That's the most important part of high school, embarking on the journey of uncovering the inly rooted identity of who we are. So, who are you? We celebrate together a long-time wish come true. What makes it even better? Today our story starts anew. When villains cast their curses, we can overcome them all. If we all stand strong together, there's no way we can fall. How do we use our gifts to build our future and live out who we are? Well, for one thing, we're still on the journey of discerning our true selves and our true talents. A constant in our future needs to be continuing to learn, not about the quadratic formula, except like our friends who are advancing in their study of mathematics, but to learn about what we care about and about our true talents. If we don't make an effort to continue learning about our skills and growing in our gifts, whether that is through college, trade school, apprenticeships, on-the-job trainings, or even conversations, our gifts become worthless. Our gifts can change the world. Now, I know that's a cliche saying. I know, but it's true. We each use our gifts in different ways. Some of us may use our interest in medicine to go into the medical field and save lives that way. Some of us may use our strong voice to venture into politics and to speak for the voiceless and push our nation in a just direction. Not all of us will make such grand, world-shattering changes, but we can each change the world. When one person does something for another that makes them feel happy, loved, seen, or appreciated, that other person's world is forever changed. Our gifts instilled within us during school that may seem feeble presently hold the powerful potential to inspire others and to spread kindness, joy, and generosity, especially amid dark hours. Staying hopeful and optimistic during depressing times like our current reality is a necessity. Finding hope and serving others go hand in hand. Helping to bring hope to the less fortunate, the downtrodden, the oppressed, and even our friends during days of distress will in return rejuvenate our spirits with hope. That's why our unique gifts and perspectives are so paramount. Not only do they bring joy into the world, but they bring hope. Surviving the grim moments we will undoubtedly travel through gives us wisdom to support others trekking through similar occurrences. A character in a wonderful television show from the early 2000s tells this story. This guy's walking down a street, and he falls in a hole. The walls are so steep that he can't get out. A doctor passes by, and the guy shouts up, "Hey, you, can you help me out?" The doctor writes a prescription, throws it in the hole, moves on. A priest comes along, and the guy shouts up, "Father, I'm down in this hole. Can you help me get out?" The priest writes a prayer, throws it down in the hole, moves on. Then a friend walks by. "Hey, Joe, it's me. Can you help me out?" And the friend jumps in the hole. Our guy says, "Are you stupid? Now we're both down here." But the friend says, "Yeah, but I've been down here before, and I know the way out." That is true friendship. When we use our gifts, which includes our knowledges and our experiences, to spread joy and hope to others, something special, something magical is formed. Love. Love triumphs all. Love changes everything. You can do so much and say so many important things with another individual, yet at the end of the day, what they'll remember most of that conversation is not the subject matter, but the way you made them feel. By acknowledging and putting our gifts into action, we become our true selves. Being who you are, no matter what anybody else says, is so important because nobody has your exact gifts. No one can change hearts and worlds like you can. Asking, "Who am I?" transforms into proudly proclaiming who I am. And with that, the labels sticking to our skin vanish and our true identities merge with our gifts to create something special. It is an act of courage to say, "This is the person I am meant to be and who I will be." When we do this, we become ourselves and use who we are for good. If we face the endless night, hold my hands and join the fight. Past the clouds we'll find the stars. A happy beginning now is ours. You've probably been thinking, "Marshall, what is that song you've been singing interstitially?" Those of you who know me best know one of my favorite TV shows of all time is called Once Upon a Time. The song I've been singing comes from the show's musical episode and is titled A Happy Beginning. The song chronicles a celebratory moment when our main cast contemplates what lies ahead in their future, but is happy about the numerous unknowns. Graduation is a strange day for us. There's much sadness floating around right now. Sadness over missing our final months because of the pandemic, and sadness because this is the last time we'll be together, virtually, connected in high school with our best friends. The future of our adult lives is uncertain and a little scary, but that's what makes it so great. This is not a mournful ending. This is our happy beginning. The next chapter of our lives is about to open. There will be clouds and curses from villains, but we can beat them all if we are ourselves and use our gifts to populate the planet with joy, hope, and love. There's so much in these next chapters of our stories to look forward to. However, let us not forget our past. In high school and all of our schooling, let us remember the knowledge we learned that exposed us to our passions and that allowed them to flourish. Let us remember those laughing instances between friends where we floated on cloud 9. We must also remember the challenges, the scars, and how we persevered. Most importantly, let us remember and never forget the love spinning around the hallways and pods, between students and faculty, and from friends to friends. I love you all, and I will miss you all. Accepting our past, the good and the bad, leads us forward. Today, as our tassels switch from right to left, and our graduation moves from present to past, let us reflect on our lives with the intent of turning the page, writing our next steps, and our happy beginning. Tomorrow is uncertain, who knows what it will bring? But one thing is for sure, class, the memories until this spring have taught us who we are and who we ought to be. As we walk into the future, let our happy beginning set us free.
thank you to Marshall and all of our student and staff speakers for sharing their messages with us today. It is now my great privilege and honor to introduce Ms. Pam Rowe, our school board chair.
Greetings, class of 2020. It is such an honor to be here with you today. On behalf of the entire school board, congratulations on a job well done. We share in your excitement, in your joy as you graduate this day. I've been giving a lot of thought on what it means to be a winger. We hear the phrase, once a winger, always a winger, and I'm sure you've either seen or used the hashtag winger pride. It is something I hear and see quite a bit. Is it just a kitschy phrase, a cliche, a catchy bunch of words? Or is it something meant to be much deeper? So I set out on a quest to see what people really thought of these words. Winger pride. Once a winger, always a winger. Who better to ask than Red Wing High School alumni? And here's what I found. It means community. It means coming back and giving back. It means to have grit. And I looked up what grit means. It means courage and resolve and strength of character. It means having a legacy and support, and it means keeping the spirit going. It means hometown pride and school pride, and it means staying connected to a supportive and giving community. You are always a part of us, and we will always be a part of you. And finally, it is remembering the great teachers, mentors, friends, neighbors, family, and community that all contributed to you becoming who you are. We have learned a lot through this pandemic, haven't we? We've learned that even in our darkest moments, there will always be something we can be grateful for. We've learned that even when we try our hardest and do our very best, we can still be disappointed in the outcomes. We've learned the importance of human connection because as we've had to stay home, we've missed each other. And we've learned how to be creative in reaching out. Neighborhood parades, Zoom calls, Google Classrooms and Hangouts, curbside pickups, driveway chats, and a graduation celebration like no other. I hope you have all learned a lot in your studies here at Red Wing Public Schools, but some of the greatest lessons have come from your fellow Red Wing graduates and the community that surrounds you today. We've seen winger pride in action. We have witnessed firsthand what it means to always be a winger, the importance of coming together, learning to take care of your neighbor, human connection, and how extraordinary it is to give back. We have been shown what it means, once a winger, always a winger. So many people right here in your hometown have come forward for you today to make your graduation extra special. Signs, cakes, cups, pizzas, shout-outs, parades, banners, storefront window decorations, and the very production of this virtual graduation. It is also extraordinary. It's exciting to think about the next chapter of your life, looking forward to what's coming next. We are excited for you. But wherever you go, whatever you do, remember that your Red Wing community loves you. We are proud of you. And it doesn't matter if you were born here or you only spent a few months here. You are a Red Wing High School graduate from this day forward. No matter where you go, you're always a winger. Congratulations.
Seniors, you have met the requirements of the state of Minnesota and the Red Wing Public Schools. Superintendent Anderson, members of the Board of Education, by the authority vested in my position as principal with the Red Wing Public Schools, I certify that the members of the class of 2020 gathered at this ceremony have completed the requirements and are eligible to receive a diploma. Mr. Nemenich, Mr. Chose, Mr. Hartman, and Board of Education members, please grant the class of 2020 their diplomas.
James Robert Alberts. In absentia.
Nia Nicole Olmsted.
Stephanie Amador Villegas.
Dylan Scott Anderson. Gage Allen Anderson.
Jaden Marie Anderson.
Levi Nicholas Anderson.
Seth Marion Anderson. Marissa Ann Bade. Ashlyn Colleen Bally. Thomas Allen Banks. Nicholas Hadeen Bailey.
Nathaniel James Bolio.
Lily Alice Sayre Beffort.
Christian Charles Benson.
Maya Anna Benway.
Phoenix Ray Benway. Breck Lillian Bergen. Grayson Elizabeth Beddick.
Aaliyah Marie Blank.
Nicholas Frank Boggs.
Madison Marie Boland.
Rachel Ann Borgen. Anna Ruth Bowes.
Haley Ann Brayford. Luke Mark Gordon Breeden.
Josie Rachel Bricky.
Jacob Eugene Brinkman.
Brianna Nicole Bruce. Anila Rael Buck. Carter Philip Bungum. Emily Nicole Burrow.
Daniel Frank Byers.
Cody Douglas Kallstrom. Bruce Edward Lloyd Campbell. Jack Nicholas Carlson.
Joseph Thomas Carrick. Trinity Nalay Carter. Ashton Kathleen Chandler.
Myra Inez Kristen. Courtney Lynn Caldwell. Corey Lewis Cook.
Riley Harris Corey.
Aiden Patrick Coyle.
Caleb Michael Dankers.
Henry Kristen Ivor Davig.
Imiza Alindia Davis, in absentia.
Alexander Fabian Del Grosso.
Caleb Von DeWall. Samuel Curtis Dirks. Olivia Rose Dodge. Jack Darrell Doig. Tyler Allen Dole. Grace Effie Doobie. Matthew Eugene Dunlap. Haley Irene Ehlers.
Maxwell Ellis Ingberg. Charles Joseph Estabrooks.
Landon Tyler Everett.
Braden Jeffrey Fick, in absentia. Michael Thomas Fish. Sydney Francis Flack. Michaela Jean Fleming.
Jasmine Flores Garcia.
Ashley Marie Ford. Sierra Leanne Foster. Tyler Stephen Foster. Dylan Terrence Frazier. Isaac Blaine French.
Chase Jordan Garcia.
Juan Carlos Garcia Martinez.
Ronald Lee Garnett, Jr. Aubrey Lynn Gilbertson. Zachary Dwayne Gilbertson. Isaiah Eldon Glenn. Angel Maxine Griggs.
Madeline May Grow, in absentia.
Margaret Ellen Grove.
Mackenzie Ella Hamlin. Carolyn Marie Hansen.
Sawyer Jean Hansen. Jacob William Hardiman. Gage Matthew Hayes. Caitlin Nicole Heckel.
Dylan Ray Hendel.
Sawyer Dane Hill.
Joseph William Heiner II.
Chanel Sue Hinch. Zachary Ryan Hofius. Kyle Craig Holst. Kaya Genevieve Hannon Hull. Hannah Renee Hoopert. Eva Joy Hutter. Aubriana Cyan Ingram.
Jenna Christine Jablonski. Hannah Lynn Jackson.
María Fernanda Jiménez.
Dontre Carlette Johnson. Grace Anna Johnson. Isaac Peter Johnson. Isaac Henry Judd.
Braxton John Jurek.
Brady James Kafka.
Jasmine Marie Keller, in absentia.
Sumner Miles Kelly.
Zara Ann Marie Kilbride.
Benjamin Eric Kunai. Josie Emma Quanbeck. Marshall John Laidlaw.
Gavin Lester Wolfgang Lampy.
Gabrielle Marlene Lanceman. Krista Ruth Larson.
Vance Dean Lau, in absentia.
Gabriel Michael Lee.
Cassandra Liu, in absentia.
Reed Ivor Lohr. Tate Benjamin Lumen. Taylor Madison Lysted.
Dominic James Marks. Anthony James Mason. Chloe Z. McGrath. Claire Lan McGrath. Keegan Trey McNamee.
Mateo Jason Mercado.
Cintia Guadalupe Miranda Rivera.
Aaliyah Dasani Chantel Mitchell. Terry Allen Moore, in absentia.
Gavin Alexander Mueller.
Kylie K. Nelson. Sarah Annabelle Nelson. Benjamin Lee Newfer. Parker Stephen Nielsen. Grace Emily O'Brien. Serena Marie Obadoza. Caleb Ray Odman. Pablo Antonio Ojeda. Isabel Eden Olson.
Tyler James Olson.
Bricia Soleima Oropesa Villegas.
Cecilia Avon Ostendorf. Julia Adair Palmatier. Maya Elizabeth Paris. Jada Helen Peterson. Amaya Ora Perkins.
Jacob Richard Peterson.
Izzy Emmeline Fahn. Trayton David Ponto.
Jocelyn Portillo Arenas.
Liam Nicholas Pyle.
Colton Michael Quaddy. Isaac Adonai Keebelai. Kendra Leanne Radloff. Skyla Rose Reed.
Pierce William Riegelman, in absentia.
Haley Ann Reimer.
Amelia Hull Reinitz.
Dallas Joel Rue.
Joshua Thomas Rickley, in absentia.
Félix Rivera Vargas.
Jackson Miles Robinson.
Mira Kayla Rodriguez.
Daniel David Rowland.
Cameron Wayne Rosebear.
Jacqueline Ruiz González.
Liberty Lynn Ryan. Cole Alexander Salmon. Zachary William Sanders. Ryan Fitch Sandy. Jenna Marie Sanford.
David Forrest Shear. Justin Rain Shear.
Isabel Madeline Schlangen.
Tristan Schroeder.
Gage Stephen Senti. Tate William Shellstad. Justice Shirk. Faith Louise Schultz.
Taylor Shortbull. Ethan Oakley Simonson.
Grace Victoria Slagle. David Alexander Summerfield. Dominic William Sorensen.
Elizabeth Ann Staggy, in absentia.
Summer Ann Steinhardt.
Caitlin Ann Stordahl. Janelle Ruth Subby Westling. Ella Marie Sutherland. Justine Jasmine Swenning. Andrew Michael Tauby. Brendan Matthew Turpinning. Ellie Sue Thorson.
Fu Can Tron, in absentia. Allison Jean Urban, in absentia.
Sarah Ellen Vernado.
Taryn David Viator.
Emily Elizabeth Vigil.
Shauna Marie Wells. Maya Danae Welsh.
Lydia K. Will. Sienna Jade Wilgrubs.
Alexa Anne Marie Williams, in absentia.
Andre Dwayne Zemer.
Sydney Mae Zemer. Congratulations to our graduating class of 2020. This year, you have endured adversity that very few of the 144 classes before you have had, and you have done it with a positive determination and grit. I thank you for that. I also want to thank you for your leadership as seniors in my first year as principal at Red Wing High School. As many would tell you, a school year at a high school will only be as good as the leadership it receives from its senior class. You have done a tremendous job in that area, and I am grateful for that. As a final activity of this commencement, we will now stand as the school song is played. Seniors of the class of 2020, please listen to it and sing along, this time as a graduate of Red Wing High School. At the song's conclusion, that special moment will come when students toss their caps in the air and they will begin a new adventure in their lives. Mr. Mars, the school song.